dog is just it is always snoring. Like I have this couch. It's my favorite couch. I've had this couch for like
Recording in
12
progress.
years. I've had this couch for 12 years and it's my favorite couch. It's like crack or like whatever drug. What's the drug that'll make you sleep? Let's say NyQuil. It's like NyQuil. I get on the couch and I just pass the out. And now that the dog is here snoring all the time, I can't sleep on that couch anymore. It doesn't matter how comfortable the couch is.
That's funny. My dog has taken to really pushing on us at night. She's huge though.
Getting colder.
No, she's tiny. This one is a French bulldog, but I call her Piglet because when she walks, like every step she takes, she snorts like a fucking pig. Yeah, every step, just like that. So I call her Piglet. The kids are now calling her Piglet.
Mhm.
It's stuck. So yeah, that's the dog and the couch.
Okay.
Shit.
I'm good now. I
didn't
think
watch it.
got everything.
Yeah, you did. I thought you did. You were watching it.
I said I did watch it.
Oh, I thought you said I didn't watch it.
Cool. All right. I got I think I'm all set, Jonesy. I've got
What order
everything
are we
loaded.
doing?
Whatever order you want, just call something out and I'll
Okay.
I'll roll with it.
Just segue.
Yeah, just segue. We should be all right. So you guys ready?
Seggy. Hello and welcome to Breaking Geek Radio, the podcast, the premier flagship and international podcast of Alone Online and the Genreverse Podcast Network. I'm your host, Brendan Jones, and we got a triple threat. It's myself, Joseph J. Medina, and Nick Dahl. Gentlemen, what's going on? On this week's podcast, we're going to be talking about Hocus Pocus 2, some news, as well as Werewolf by Night impressions. Nick, did you get a chance? Did you see Werewolf by Night?
No, it came out
Okay.
like while I was asleep.
All right. So it's just
Oh,
gonna
did
be
that
me.
come out
So-
today? Like
Like
early,
last night
like
at midnight. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's
I didn't
brand
know. I thought-
spanking new, hot off the press. Like so much dog shit. It is steaming and brand new and hot, but not bad.
No,
So I guess
okay.
it's not like
Because
dog
it's
Yeah, I
not
was like,
dog
uh-oh.
shit.
It is like dog shit, but also not like dog shit at all. So we have a bunch of trailers to go through, and we also have.
They should put that on all the
couple
future
news stories.
trailers.
It is like dog shit, and also not like dog shit.
Like dog shit at all, and then people will be like, "What does that mean?" I don't know. I have to watch the show or the special.
It must be an A24 movie. Quote like that.
So we've got several trailers to get through. One of them I just watched. Do you guys have any particular order you want to go through these in? We've got the Super Mario trailer, we've got the Violent Night trailer, we've got the new Black Panther trailer.
Any
Oh,
order.
sorry. It's funny because earlier before the show, we were talking about trailers that we don't have. I know Danny posted the one for what's it called? Oh my god, what is that one?
Lumberland?
Warrior King? God, no, Warrior Queen. What's it
Oh,
called?
Woman King. Woman King.
Woman
or
and
Woman King.
Yeah, it's the woman.
And I
King.
thought you were making a joke about that, but no, we actually have a Black Panther trailer to check out, which is awesome.
I also thought Woman King was already out.
That's
It
what I
is.
thought too. I
No,
was
he's-
confused.
I think he was posting that to
Yeah.
say that's what I'm seeing tonight.
Yeah.
He's going to the
Oh.
movies.
I've
He's like,
never
"This
been
is
more
my
confused
night."
in my life. Never been more confused. Not once. Anyway, so
Sorry,
yeah,
I can't help you with
let's start with Black Panther because I feel
Let's
like
start with Black Panther.
let's do it. All
right,
because
so-
who else cried during the Black Panther trailer?
Really?
Not I. No.
I
Not
cried
even
like a little
close.
bitch.
Not even close. So I think Jeremy, you weren't on the show. I've already given my thoughts on it. I don't think my thoughts are changed by seeing this. I think at this point, in the first trailer and the teaser, let's call it a teaser. So in the first one, we got a teaser, and there was, who's in the Black Panther suit? We don't know. Is it a man? Is it a woman? Who's it gonna? I mean, like, we know who's in the suit now, right? Like, there's not really a
Exactly
Question.
who I
yeah.
thought
But
it
do
was.
we?
We all knew it
But
was.
do-
do
though.
you here the fuck he is? Dewey. Who is it, Jammer? Who's in the suit?
No. Here's the thing: is that
Here's the thing.
and actually, I'm going to look this up.
Mhm.
Where someone said that the fans have not guessed who the Black Panther's identity is.
Oh come on! The Russos said no one guessed Endgame as a title either.
I know.
And
Yeah,
You know,
that's a
you
bullshit
knows.
quote, first of all, because it's like has to be one of 4 characters. So no one's guessed which of the 4 characters it could possibly be. Not one person has been like, oh, it's
Okay, but I think
one
the
of her
general
guard
the
instead of
spirit,
Shuri.
the spirit of the quote is the general consensus isn't correct. That's how I read that. Because
Okay.
obviously
That's
they're
like-
not going to know every rumor
I don't
out
know.
there. So Lupita Nyong'o says we love speculation. Guerrero was like, they're not getting all of it right, and Nyong'o says no, they haven't guessed it at all. That was it. It was just a quick little exchange.
They were talking
Obviously-
About
about they were talking about
generally
who's in
or-
the suit
yeah.
or the movie. Oh yeah.
about the who the new Black Panther will be in the sequel. So my guess is this is a midnight Murder on the Orient Express situation where it's multiple people over the course
I
of the
would
movie.
hate that. That's a good guess though. That's the one way they're screaming it.
Yeah. But anyway, sorry I interrupted you, but as you said, you're like, oh, we know who Black Panther is. Do we?
Imagine if there was more than
Black
one.
Panther?
It would be like Shazam.
well,
It's like everyone gets powers at the end.
I would also say
It's
there
the
are
MCU, Nick. Everyone already has powers. What are
That's
you
true.
on? It's the MCU.
But I mean, I don't know. Just like you're watching, I know I could tangent and we've interrupted Jonesy, but you're watching Shazam and you're like, oh, every main character has superpowers. And then none of them had them a second ago. Like,
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah. All right. So we are now looking out for a Black Panther that is basically Spartacus, right? I am Spartacus. I am Black Panther. I am Black Panther. We'll see. Yeah, I think
Black
that's
Panther isn't a person; it is a people.
yeah, and that makes it worse. But anyway, so yeah, it doesn't really move the needle for me very much at all. Jammer, you cried, and I didn't get your thoughts on the teaser. So walk me through your bitch like tears for Black Panther Wakanda
Okay, I
Forever.
exaggerated. I didn't actually cry. I
Oh,
choked up.
oh, now he's
I choked
walking
up.
it back.
liar,
choked up.
liar.
No, I choked up because it's one of the things where I didn't cry.
So when no one
because
else
of
raised
how-
their hand, he was like, "I guess I was going on." Sorry, go ahead.
No. So I essentially, for me, it's the type of cry you get when just a piece of art really kind of comes together beautifully, and it has been enough to at least make me second guess my overall thoughts about Chadwick Boseman, because I think I'm modifying my initial thoughts. My thoughts are Chadwick Boseman should be recast. However, if they did recast him, we would not have gotten what looks to be a potentially emotional and unique superhero story. Like, how many superhero movies are there where the main character from the previous movie is dead and it's about what happens next? And in this case, it seems like the protector, quote unquote, being gone in Black Panther is the catalyst for, Namor or Namor, or however they're going to pronouncing his name, coming in.
They're not pronouncing it Namor?
Well, because it's Latino influenced.
I see.
So I think it might be Namor,
Namor.
but I have no idea.
Namor.
Me
Okay.
no
But I don't
more.
know. We'll see. But yeah, so this is a story we would not have gotten if they had decided to recast him.
Hard disagree.
And okay, go ahead. Tell me,
Because
they
I
would have
don't-
made a movie about Black Panther's death if they decided to replace him.
I don't know that it requires that he be immediately recast. Right?
Go
You
on.
can have this exact same movie. Like, we don't know what happened to him. He is presumed dead. So you've never seen a movie where the person is presumed dead.
Presumed dead.
And
So you're talking
Yeah.
about Skyfall.
Sure.
Every James Bond movie, actually.
Every James Bond movie.
Yeah.
No, but I'm saying, but he's actually dead. It's not a fake out. He's gone. Like,
But that is
this
because
this
of
allows
real
it-
life circumstances.
Sure, it is, but it's like pivoting. It's like pivoting. It's like we have an opportunity to tell something, a more unique story. Is it better or worse than what we would have gotten? We'll never know, but it is a unique opportunity. And the fact that they leaned into it, I think, is pretty interesting. And it's a riskier move when it comes to actually, like, what should the next story be that we tell? And I kind of respect that, even though it's not the decision I would have made, but
Yeah.
I'm more receptive to what it could be.
I think you could have done both and still have told the same story
I don't know.
without closing. Don't close the door definitively to recasting and still tell this story.
Well, let's be real. They can open it up in 5 years and say, hey, new multiverse Black Panther. We recast them. Here we go. Boom. Moving forward.
Sure, but that's not what they said, right? If you just go by what they said, and you can always change your mind, of course. But he's like, hey, he's so iconic, we're not going to replace him. End. Not multiverse, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
In all
As
fairness,
time
though,
has
he
gone
says,
on,
we're not going to replace him. Did he say never, or did he say we're not going to replace him? Because I'm not sure if he said never.
he said, no, he said we're not going to. He said he is so iconic in any medium. Now you're going to have to pull up the quote. But the initial quote was definitive.
And the way Jammer just explained how this movie is so unique, I'm like, oh, so this is Spider-Man Far From Home? We're using the movie to mourn a character who died in the last movie.
What are you talking about?
Like the whole mourning a character to start your movie.
But that's not the
like,
main
like Far From Home.
character of the. That's not the same thing.
He's the main
that's a
character
Spider-Man
of the
movie.
MCU.
That's a Spider-Man. It's a Spider-Man movie.
So, you know what's hard about trying to find stuff on Google is whenever you try and look something up, the only thing you get is
I
the
sent
most
you a
recent
link,
thing.
Jonesy. I just I don't want to try to read it out loud because here I've got the quote. I'll just put the quote in the chat for you. There you go.
I'm pulling it up.
Thank you.
There you go.
No. So this is not the quote. That's not the quote.
Okay.
That is more, and that's what I'm saying. It's hard to look stuff up because you find more recent. This is a newer quote. He's saying much too soon. That's not what he first said. So you guys keep talking. I'll see if I can find this.
So go and tell me more about why this is Spider-Man Far From Home.
No, I already said why it is. I will say give my opinions on the trailer. It made me excited. I honestly wasn't excited for this at all. The fact that it was Marvel before this trailer.
You didn't like the initial teaser?
I mean, it's Black Panther isn't even particularly my favorite. Like, I really enjoyed the movie, but it's not one that like stands out. It's like I can't wait to see a sequel to it.
I think Black Panther
especially
was so
since they don't
unique.
have T'Challa, so it's like, oh, it's not really Black Panther, then, is it? It's Wakanda forever.
Well, Black Panther was so unique for me because it was like the one Marvel movie where I was just like,
yeah, once it came out, I was stoked on it.
Everything around him was more interesting than Black Panther. And I feel like this is the only movie where you could have had this. Like, you're not going to have Iron Man 2 being about how Tony Stark died and Rhodey is taking over. You're not going to have
Armor Wars.
But that's after like several movies, though. That's different. That's not the second movie. And the thing is that it's not the world. It's just a character picking it up. They're not sort of steeping in the culture of a specific world. It's like a very different thing.
Okay.
Anyways, continue with the trailer.
Can I finish? No, I'm just kidding. Quote South Park. It actually got me interested. I mean, I was already interested. It's Marvel, but like I dug the trailer. Didn't feel any emotion, nothing emotionally. But I thought it was really cool to see more of. I'm just gonna call him Namor for now, because that's how I've heard it pronounced. But me and Namor. But I don't know. It's interesting. I like the. I don't. You know, obviously they're doing one of those. It's a little risky because I kind of hate the genre where it looks like it's going to be Batman v Superman or Godzilla versus Kong, and there's going to be someone worse that we don't see in the trailers, and they're going to be like, "Oh, we have to join like sides to fight." It looks like in the trailer, the colonists or something, you know, and it's just like that's going to be tiring. But overall, seeing, especially with Ryan Coogler's expertise in showing us a new culture, it'll be really interesting to see his version of Atlantis. I guess they don't call it Atlantis in the MCU, but it normally is Atlantis.
We'll find out, yeah.
And my other question is, so he's a mutant. So does that mean that all the people are mutant? That's why they live underwater, or he has different abilities than his people even?
He's unique.
Why?
It's a special power.
So they can still all live underwater without being mutants.
Yes,
but he's the wings on his feet or something.
Yeah, he's half Atlantean.
Oh God,
he's Aquaman. He's Aquaman.
He's Aquaman.
He is the character that came first in that one, though. And Moore is a World War II character.
Sure, I got the quote. So, Jammer, listen up. So you're a writer. You're a writer. Check this out.
Listening.
His portrayal of T'Challa, the Black Panther, is iconic and transcends any iteration of the character in any other medium from Marvel's past. And it is for that reason we will not recast the character. Period. I'm adding the period for emphasis. However, to honor his legacy that Chad helped us build through his portrayal of the King of Wakanda, we want to continue to explore the world and all the rich and varied characters introduced in the film. Now, I'm not saying that doesn't mean that they can't change their minds later. What I'm saying is that his initial statement was definitive.
It was definitive in that we will not recast him. Agreed. They didn't. They made a movie. They did not recast him. They'll probably make a few more movies without having recast him, and then they could recast him later.
Especially like the more recent comment would be
yes.
like more applicable.
But I feel like the second statement is more of a closer to a walk back than anything else, right? He's not saying in the first statement it's too soon or anything. Like he's like, we will not. That is different than saying it is too soon. I'm not gonna fuck you. It's too soon. Fuck you. Those are different statements, right? If you met a woman in a bar, you would understand the difference between those two statements. You're not getting any.
That is an interesting comparison.
Well, I have to put it in terms you would understand. Like, it's not a movie.
I appreciate it.
You're not having sex. You're going home alone.
Does that mean never, though?
It was too soon.
We're not having sex. We're not having sex.
It's too soon.
But
it's too soon.
He said we're not having sex. Oh my God! Can you stop saying that? I am going to kill you.
No. I was gonna. It's too soon doesn't mean never. We're not going to have sex
again.
We're not going to have sex. Means we're not having sex.
It can be interpreted as tonight, though. Should be like, are we going to go back to my place? Like, we're not having sex. Could mean never.
You're a rapist. Respect women. Respect women.
What? How dare you? Don't do that. Come on.
Yeah. So I take, without knowing him, right? Without being in the room, without having any follow-up questions, that first statement is definitive. The second one is not. So
what was the point of this conversation? I forgot.
The point I was trying to make was that they could have told this same story and recast him later without seeming like they were definitively closing the door.
So you're okay, I get it. You're saying that they should have said it's too soon initially and then done this movie.
Yeah.
My point, what I was saying is that if they were going to recast him, they would have recast him right away for this next movie, but they didn't. They decided to go forward with this one, and then later on the line we'll get some other iteration, I'm sure.
Maybe. We'll see. I think it was very much their intention in the beginning to not recast him at all. I take him at his word in this first statement that they weren't going to. And I think hearts and minds have changed, softened over the years.
He kind of said it wrong. He should have been out of respect, not because it's such an iconic performance. Because it's like, oh, it's iconic, huh? You're never going to recast Wolverine. You're never going to recast Tony Stark. It's like, yes, of course you're fucking going to. You want the money. It's not about being iconic. It's about being respectful to the actor.
Well, he did say to honor the legacy that helped us build through his portrayal of the character. So, anyway, we've spent a lot of time, a lot of Jammer's tears.
We've spent a lot of time not talking about the trailer and just talking about a tangential topic.
That's right. Whether or not we're gonna have sex tonight.
Namor is looking good.
Too soon.
Too soon for Namor sex, or too soon to move on, or
it's just too soon.
Too soon to recast.
Namor does look cool.
He does, with his little Hermes slippers.
Are those slippers? I thought those were just his feet.
I think it's feet.
His feet. Oh, is it his feet?
It's just his feet.
It's just his feet. Yeah.
They yelled at us on Daily Cogs for not knowing that they weren't. Like, I remembered the wings on his feet, but I always remember he also had like some wraps or sandals, like something on his feet as well. So, and he's not that big of a character. He is a big character, but he's not used as much. That's what I meant to say. He's not used as much. So we knew about the mutant thing and all of that, but we were like, does he actually fly? I couldn't ever remember.
Those are some powerful
I hate
wings.
when people do that. People are like, how could you not know? It's like, because we haven't seen this motherfucker on screen like ever. Except in a cartoon. Calm down.
Exactly.
Calm down.
Those are some awesome
So-
wings, though. Little tiny wings that much can just make you fly like upright, like Iron Man.
Someone
Sounds like a very like a gatekeeping conversation. Like, do you even read Marvel comics? You know.
Yeah, it does.
someone to Jammer's personal, I don't know how to phrase this, but because these Hispanic character Jammer, someone said that the wings look to be utilizing the importance of hummingbird, either to a particular Aztec deity or culture in general. But they mentioned in our comments that that seems to be a potential through line for the wings in this version of the character. So I think that's kind of cool. They're going real deep into that area's lore and culture.
So, Jammer, what
it's
I'd like
cool
you to do is
because I
move
know
the
the
mic
character-
very close to your face right now, and then speak for all Latino people. How do you all feel about that? We're the Latino
No.
people.
Well, I just think it's cool because like, isn't the character kind of more Southeast Asian inspired in the comics? And the fact that they're kind of like, hey, let's just go ahead and make Latinos. Like, they haven't had one yet. Go ahead and give them one. You know, the closest thing they had was Falcon, and that guy didn't. He didn't even wear the wings yet, and I didn't really like him that much. He didn't really do much. He got knocked out by one of those extremist people, except not extremists. The other one, the Super Soldier Brigade, whatever you want to call them. So yeah, we got one, which is great. I'll take him. But yeah, as
Whereas
far
like
as,
Star Wars,
yeah.
every other character now.
As far as the cultural aspects, I can't speak to like knowing how wings on feet relates to anything Latino. But that's my ignorance.
No, I just meant that the fact that they're going that deep into a culture that hasn't gotten that treatment on screen very much. That's all.
It's true.
Not just how much do you know about it or anything like that. But all right.
No. But the thing is, I'm not familiar of any aspect
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
Aztec culture that has that. But I mean, I don't know that much about it.
Yeah.
Frankly.
Interesting. You guys ready to move on?
Mm-hmm.
Would you do like Ironheart at all? Anyone?
Oh,
Anyone
that was
thoughts about
awesome. I
Ironheart?
forgot that Ironheart was in it. No, Ironheart's awesome. Awesome possum.
Yeah, I
It
think
seems
it's
like
good.
she's having fun.
I'm looking forward to seeing how they build out this character. I like the relationship they seem to be building with the Wakandans. I think I'm more interested in that than seeing her in the suit. I don't know why. I think I just like relationships.
Because we've seen characters in suits before. It's like it's all about the
Yeah.
human underneath it.
Yeah. You're right.
That's what made Tony Stark so interesting, and that's hopefully what makes her so interesting. But I like just how epic this feels because it's not just
Mhm.
Batman v Superman. It's culture versus culture. It's like legitimate epic war type thing, and I'm just excited because we've had so many of these movies recently where they're jokey and lower stakes. And this one just feels like, okay, we're bringing it back to, Endgame status quality in terms of the stakes and what's on the line and everything. So it's just like, I'm ready for that. It's funny. There's this YouTuber and I forget his name. Man Carrying Thing, I think is his name. And I forget that wrong. I apologize. He does these little short skits and he does this whole like little 30-second sketch where he talks about, and it was doing a Marvel Studios presentation, and this is the next one is going to be the jokey one that people don't care about, and this next one's going to be, it's going to be fine, it's going to be fine, and this one, here's the one that actually people are excited about, and then like kind of just going through that like that, and I thought that was pretty spot on, and I feel like that is what this is for me, is like the one I'm genuinely excited about, and I hope it's good. Ryan Coogler, Marvel Studios, please don't let me down.
I love
Fingers
when you
crossed.
said that no one really cares about Batman v Superman, and it's like no one would have said that before 2016.
I didn't say that. I didn't
Well,
say
like
that.
you
I
said
said
this is
it.
bigger than Batman v Superman. You just said
I
that.
didn't
You're like,
s-
this is more
No,
epic
no,
as
no.
far as
Well, no,
warring
no.
tribes and stuff.
This is what my point is, that it's instead of it's like
The
it's
stakes.
people versus people. It's not person versus person.
Okay.
That's what I was saying.
I don't know.
I mean, I guess the important question is, do they bleed? That's what matters. That's what I want to know.
Bleeding. Something's really certainly bleeding. Whatever the line was.
This is the-
Moving on. We got this. We got more show. We got more trailers. All
We
right, let's do
BP'd
it. Let's do it. We beat the Black Panther to death. We're moving on to Mario. Let's bring him to life. There are some who are fucking set. So we got the
Really?
trailer for who, buddy?
I knew it was gonna break the internet
Who,
in
buddy?
a angry way
I mean, I have a theory about
before it
this.
came out.
I have
a theory
theories
about
too.
this.
I'm so
Let me-
excited to talk about this.
let me set it up first. So we got the first trailer for this. We've got a trailer, the Super Mario Brothers movie. This is a film that is coming out to stars Chris Pratt and Jack Black. And apparently people are really upset. I'm sorry, let me go through the rest of the cast because this is a huge epic cast. We got Charlie Day as Luigi, Anna Taylor-Joy as Princess Peach, Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong, Jack Black as Bowser, Keegan-Michael Key as Toad, Fred Armisen as Cranky Kong, and Sebastian Maniscalco as Spike. Like they went super deep with this character.
Who the hell
roster.
is Spike? Is that the one of the Koopa-ling people?
I think so. Hold on.
Yeah, I
know
think
who
he's
Spike
one of
is.
the yeah.
He's one of the
Koopa
not
kids
the,
or something.
He's actually not a kid. That's actually was an American construct. He is just an underling of King Koopa.
He is just a green toad-like character. He's like an underling, throws spikes.
Okay.
He just does stuff. What was I gonna say? So huge cast for this. The trailer, in terms of animation, to me, looks fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Yes, kiss.
I can't. I'd be hard pressed to think of a CG animated movie in this style that was better. Like they really went all for it on this, and so from that respect, I am impressed. I thought Chris Pratt's voice was fine. Jack Black's voice though was like
I loved it.
not immediately recognizable to me as being Jack Black, but also perfect as Bowser for what we heard. But Jammer, to your question, and maybe this is just cherry picked, I don't know. And this is from Variety, so they gathered a bunch of tweets, and people are saying that the way he said, it's one person on Twitter is like, "Hey, I showed this to my kids, and they laughed and thought it was terrible." Someone else, you can tell Jack Black put a ton of love and heart in his Bowser voice while Chris Pratt just spoke. Kind of weird, but the visuals are absolutely fucking stellar. Blah, blah, blah. Holy shit, it's just Chris Pratt's voice. Me listening to Chris Pratt coming out of Mario's voice, and it's a sad picture. So like people aren't happy about it. And let me toss out my theory about this. I'm curious what you guys will think about this. No one goes to see Chris Pratt movies, right? I don't. I go see Marvel movies that have Chris Pratt in them. I go see Jurassic Park movies. I go see Jurassic Park movies that have Chris Pratt in them. Passengers, never fucking watched it. There's the Terminal List on Amazon. I only watched the first couple episodes because my mom was like, "It's really good." I watched the first couple episodes, never finished it. I am not a Chris Pratt fan, and it's very interesting that Hollywood keeps like, "Hey, you like Indiana Jones, right? You want to see new Indiana Jones? It could be this guy. You want it to be this guy?" I'm like, "No, fuck off. I don't want that." But it's fascinating to me that they keep putting him in front of me, and to me, it hasn't taken. And it seems like this reaction is that. And so I'm curious what you guys think of A, the trailer, and B, this kind of backlash to Chris Pratt.
Do you mind if I jump in to help you hand that off to Nick directly with this voice thing from something he said to us? I don't even think it made it onto our Marvel multi. I think it was after. We were talking about what will the voice sound like, because honestly, no one would go watch 90 minutes of It's a me, Let's Go, and even if they added
losing their shit over
right,
it,
but
going,
they would it would sound so awful whether you kept it to minimal lines or you wrote out a whole script of that style of speech. Nick said, what if he just does the Bob Hoskins thing and makes him a New Yorker? And I was like, holy crap, you're right. I never even thought of that. And they did it, Nick. So good call. And with that context, guys, go, Nick.
I mean, so that's what they did for the cartoon, right? So
as well.
Oh yeah. Do the Mario.
I want to dig more into that because from side to side.
Yeah.
But yeah, so essentially here we have well, I do understand a criticism of Chris Pratt's voice though, because I have a rebuttal against that. So in it, he kind of goes, "Mushroom Kingdom, here we come." He delivered it kind of like that. It's not really. It felt like he had phoned in that line, Though let me remind you that the first line we heard from Tom Holland was, "Hey everyone," and it was just like out of place. It didn't work because it wasn't from the position that he was in. It felt wrong. I'm imagining it's like that in this. Second, what I think is interesting is I think going back to the Mario thing, is anyone else getting some real Portal fantasy vibes from this one? And if so, and what I mean by that is someone being teleported from one world to another.
Yeah.
And if so,
Isekai.
where is he being teleported from? Is he being
New York.
teleported from live action New York or cartoon
That'd
New
be
York?
interesting.
Because that's in the DNA of like the old Mario cartoon, like the Mario Super Show. Are they going that deep? Is it going to be more of like a New Donk City thing? What's it going to be?
That's
I
a
don't know.
big brain Janet right there.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
But
I
it
just
seems
know that
interesting.
everyone was pissed when he was cast. And it's like,
Well,
well,
yeah,
what
'cause
is he
everyone
going to
hates
do with
Chris
his
Pratt.
voice? He's not going to do much. They don't even want him to do much. Like Johnny said, they
just
think
wanna
Chris
complain.
Pratt's a star. They cast Chris Pratt because Chris Pratt wasn't he cast as Garfield the same month as Mario?
I think that was a
Yeah.
joke. Or no, that was real.
No,
No,
the
that was a
other
joke.
ones
No,
were
that-
jokes. Yeah.
There was one that
But
was
it's
a
just,
joke,
yeah,
but I
he's the
forgot
voice
which one it was.
actor of the moment. So I don't know. The animation, like I said, is gorgeous. It looks exactly like the games while also being like upgraded. Like nothing, the aesthetic feels perfect, and you can actually see the hairs of his mustache.
Isn't it
So-
sad that these are the best graphics Mario has ever had? Like even
Odyssey
his
looks
own
great.
fucking console.
Odyssey
Huh?
looks great.
Doesn't
Odyssey
look
looks
better than
awesome.
this. Doesn't look better than this.
It's different.
It looks like Odyssey in Unreal 5 by a fan. That's what it looks like. It looks
By a
good. It looks
fan.
good. It looks good.
What do you mean? The movie's always going to look better because
Whoa, you sound
because
ignorant.
it
it's
is a joke about
pre-rendered.
the fact-
It's not rendering as you play.
I mean, it is a general joke about just the low power nature of every Nintendo console as compared to everything else around it.
But he's also always a cartoon character. Like you can't do something like Link where like he's cell shaded this time. He's realistic this time. He's always going to look the same.
Why can't
Not
you?
like Mario.
You
What's
just-
Paper
Mario-
Mario?
You
What's
want a
Paper
realistic
Mario?
Mario?
What's Paper Mario?
Paper Mario, yeah.
Well, I mean, but you would never see like a
They go
Link
back
looking
to
Mario.
the 2D world every now
A
and
Link-
then.
I'm not talking
looking
about 2D
Mario.
versus 3D. So you want like some angsty adult, like pudgy Italian who's trying to be more photorealistic than like
What?
Link, where they're like, let's make him
What
look
is
more
happening?
human.
Did you have a stroke? I don't understand what you're trying to
No.
say.
I'm not talking about different style. I'm like Link
Aren't you?
is
You said self
like
shaded.
an Ocarina of Time. They're going for a realistic look, not like Mario's always a hand drawn looking cartoon character. You would never give him a realistic human
Mario
body like
64.
Link has.
Okay, so what is that? Oh, gotcha. So you're saying you would never make Mario look like you or me?
Hyper realistic. Yeah.
Hyper
Yeah.
realistic. Okay.
Which they go for. They choose that style in Zelda sometimes. I mean, the graphics aren't
Okay.
there, but they choose that style half the time for Zelda.
So that's not what I'm talking about in terms of how good this looks versus the games. Like in terms of color, in terms of just the way it moves and the way it looks, like this looks better than every Mario game I've ever seen.
The textures,
Yeah.
texture on the mushrooms alone, and anyone that's ever even looked into 3D work, whether it's animation or modeling. I mean, textures are in these incredibly detailed
Yeah.
things that take
Yeah.
a lot to make, but you can only
And the
make
movie
them
should look
so
better.
big, and to spread that out over something like that is it looks gorgeous.
You're conflating
cut-
when I say graphical impressiveness with realism. I'm not saying
no,
more
I'm
realist.
just saying I agree with that, but like that's why they sell half these video games with pre-rendered videos where like this is not actual gameplay because the pre-rendered videos always look better than the gameplay.
I feel like they're allegedly moving away from that. More and more you see like
Allegedly.
this is in-game engine, right? Is what you see more and more.
It's usually the second trailer, but I get you.
I get your
Yeah.
point. I don't understand what the point was though. I get what you're
Then do
saying.
you-
I don't
then do
understand
you get
its
the point?
application.
I understand the words
no.
that are coming out of your
I
mouth.
Someone
understand
said,
what
I
you're saying.
can't believe this looks better than the games. And it's like, of course it does. It's a
No,
pre-rendered.
that's
film.
not what I said. What I said was it looks better here than any of his games ever do. And really it is just a joke about the low powered nature of every Nintendo console. It is joke. Move the fuck on.
So, Anything else about this trailer? I'm trying to think here.
9.
I think it looks. I'm excited. We're sure it is a Brooklyn accent or a New York accent, right?
Definitely sounds like a New York accent.
Yeah.
Not an extreme one, like Bob. Yeah, but like it's definitely that's the tweak he did on the voice. Not an Italian accent, like a New York accent. So
Anyone else? Anyone sad about that? I actually don't care.
no,
I
I
think
don't
it's
care.
a good idea.
I think it's the best route to go.
Absolutely. Like I said, no one would listen to 90 minutes of what you think about when you think Mario, and then there's the precedents, like you pointed out, the old live action cartoon mix and the live action film.
And they, I mean, like they had the second most impossible job. The most impossible job would be giving Link a voice because he's never supposed to talk. Like he makes grunts.
Excuse me, princess.
So that would piss off the
Link
internet
does
more.
talk.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we're talking about.
Or then go to the CDI projects. The CDI ones that are way worse.
Oh man, do you guys remember that Captain N and all the? Oh god, Wayback Machine.
One other thing I was going to mention here having to do with this, what was it? It was something I wanted to talk about. The hell was it? I'm going to zoom through the trailer really quick and talk.
While you're trying to figure that out, I'm more upset that we didn't get to hear Luigi's voice. Really,
I know. Charlie Day doesn't have to do anything with his voice. He doesn't even have to put on an Italian, not Italian, New York accent. He's just Luigi. Like, the final scene is of Luigi, and I really wanted to hear just one
give me a line.
With Charlie Day, like,
that was Yoshi.
No, Luigi always makes that noise when he gets burned.
I swear to God, if they don't have Yoshi, it will probably destroy my son. They've got to have Yoshi.
They will. They have to give him a voice.
He's got to be.
Maybe they're saving it for the sequel.
If they
for the trailer
for the post credit scene.
Yeah, he's the tails. He's the tails of this movie.
Exactly.
I'm sure he'll be a big part of it. It's just he's not a voice actor, so he hasn't been announced.
Lucas loves Yoshi. It's his absolute favorite. But it is. I'm hoping we get some of the Bowser kids, so we can get those musician references like Iggy Pop. Yeah. Anyways,
so as
Bowser
far as
Jr. is the post credit scene.
So one thing I think a lot of people are also impressed because I think they associate Illumination with cheap animation, which I get, but I don't.
Do they?
So here's the thing. Yes. Well, here's the thing. They make mid-budget animated movies. Their movies generally cost $80 million or less. But apparently, if you and people associate that really negatively. Like I saw so many comments being like, "I'm surprised it's Illumination." I'm like, their stuff doesn't look bad. It's stylized so that it doesn't need to be, a $200 million movie. And I actually really respect Illumination. I don't like most of their movies, but I appreciate and respect how they're able to effectively spend money on a budget, on a concept that's going to have mass appeal and ultimately be fine. Like I saw Secret Life of Pets. I was like, well, that was fine. I didn't like it, but I'm sure people will. Like I could see other people liking it.
Do you like Sing?
I love Sing.
Okay, thank you.
That's the one I like.
I had to fuck you in the chamber if you said you didn't like Sing, but good on you.
No, I love Sing, and I really like the sequel too. Not as much as the first one, but I like both of those movies.
Yeah, that's still fun. Yeah.
So yeah, but I think because I like Sing, I had relatively high expectations. I'm like, these are really smart business people. They know where to put their money, and they would be smart to know to put their money in a fucking Mario project if they need to. They're wise enough to know that yes, Mario will sell, but also fans are picky as fuck. They saw what happened to Sonic and knew that they probably need to put their best foot forward, and I think they really did. It's not surprising to me because I know that they're smart people working over there. But I think they really do a good job of this is going to be something that's going to appeal to Mario fans and of course to kids.
Prediction: there will be like Sonic Gate, just with fans bitching about the voice for the next
I wondered about
that.
Yeah,
but the difference is they're not going to change it. That's the
Mario's not going to be. Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Nintendo and Illumination are going to be like, fuck yourself.
Here's the thing also. So I thought about that too. And I think there is a chance. So if the second trailer comes out and they hear Mario's voice and there's outrage, I could see them finding a way to fix it. There is a precedent on some level for this, not as extensive. But first of all, voice acting, you could voice act a whole movie in 3 days.
Sure.
handful of days. It doesn't take long. So it could be done. They did this with Yorick Burnison in the Golden Compass movie, which was originally played by Nonso Anosi.
Mm-hmm.
And the last minute, they're like, we need to make sure that this movie does well. We're going to replace him with Ian McKellen last minute. So they replaced his voice with Ian McKellen at the last minute.
Is York the bear?
Yeah.
You know how hard that actually is to do, though?
I didn't say it was easy. I just said it could be
hard
done.
with CGI, because then I guess it's less hard with CGI because Mark Hamill replaced, can't remember who he replaced in Batman the Animated Series, Tim Curry. And so back then, since it was already animated and it wasn't CGI, he had to, all of his lines, including his laugh, he had to match to what was already animated.
Anime actors are doing that already with anime, so it's not.
And it sounds silly.
Real. I mean, you haven't seen the good anime dub, apparently.
Yeah.
You what? What are you talking about, Nick? You watch Summer Wars, the movie that you say has a lot of adult aspects to it, which I don't understand.
Whatever. You know my opinion on anime. Not changing. Let's move on.
Are we moving on? Are we ready to move on?
Let's move on.
All right, moving on. What we got next? We got Violence Night, which I feel like we're barreling towards here. So we've got a trailer with, who's that one guy from The Thing?
David Harbour.
Thank you. Somebody else do this because I just watched this because I forgot.
Okay, so
you did it's Die Hard with Santa Claus.
Yes,
again.
yes.
It's funny because we watched this. I actually ended up watching this. I knew this was on the list to watch for today, but last night before going to bed, because I was going to watch it this morning, it came up as an ad, and I was like, "Oh, we may as well watch it before our YouTube video." And I was with Kirsten, and legitimately halfway through the trailer, she was just like, "Someone just said I want to make an actual Die Hard Christmas movie and made this movie," and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's exactly it."
Somebody was like, "Throw something into the wall." I'm so sick of this fucking debate. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So it looks, so here you have Violent Night, you have a violent Santa Claus who, and I actually think they really did a good job of threading the needle, because I thought it would be like, oh, Santa Claus is going to fuck you up, which he is, but he also kind of has that, he's still Santa Claus.
I'm there to help you, kid. Like it's another line of the mic, the walkie-talkie. Yeah.
So like, he's still, in theory, a good person, and it seems like the John Leguizamo's crew are the ones that are like the true villains. Yeah, Luigi, right?
There's your connection.
I want David Harbour to play Mario now.
That would have to be live action. No.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just think they did a really good job, because I was expecting full on pulpy ridiculousness, but this one kind of has a somewhat wholesome feel to it and an extra air quality that I wasn't expecting from a fucking movie called Violent Night. So it exceeded my expectations, and I'm pretty excited to see. This could be a lot of fun.
I thought it was going to be a horror movie, having only seen the poster, and I'm like, great.
Yeah,
no, they're
I can see that too.
Slash I'm Santa Claus, I'm going to kill people on Christmas. And I saw the trailer, and I'm like, hell yeah. And I watched the trailer like 3 more times, because he has like he breaks the fourth wall in a scene, unless they just cut it weird, where he like puts the grenade down the guy's pants, and the guy's like, I can't find it. And he like looks at the screen. He's like, am I going to watch? It's like, yeah, I'm going to watch. And he like turns around and watches the guy explode. And yeah, I feel like it has more heart than you would expect for a movie like this, because they keep that exact Die Hard ism of him being on the microphone with the kid, where he's like, yeah, kid, you're on my nice list, I'm gonna come save you, like, rather than. And of course, we watched a great movie that was similar to this. Was that last year or 2 years ago? Bad Man.
Last year.
So I'm a hunger for more badass Santa Claus.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. This feels like the Wyatt Earp / Armageddon Deep Impact situation where studio execs are having
movies.
No, more like studio execs sitting in like a restaurant, adjacent to each other, having the same idea, and whoever goes out and makes the movie first. Like it is strange to me that we got 2 of these 1 year, one after the other.
This is the bigger one, though. I mean,
is it?
That one was bare. That one, I don't know. Did that one even have a theatrical release? Didn't we just get it on
streaming? Did anything have a theatrical release?
It was a COVID thing.
That's true.
It's hard to really. I still can't even look at box office numbers and know if anything is back to normal just yet. I think it is, but I'm not mentally there.
The new normal.
Yeah.
Where 65% to 70% drops are not uncommon. everything is heavily front loaded. So you gotta.
But all the articles will make it seem like it is.
They still
and all the
do,
fans will make it seem like it is.
Except for the Daily Cup of Genre, where we do the movie numbers every Monday here on the Genreverse Podcast Network.
Nice.
You know what I thought you were going to say is everyone with their 65-inch screens just stays home and watches stuff. That's what I thought you were going to say. I feel like over COVID, the people with the means were just like, you know what? I'm just going to build out a home theater. I'm tired of this shit.
Well, I did the opposite. I was all about home theater, and then I spent 2 years cooped up, and I was like, get me out of here. I want to go to the theater. And so that's what I did. I go to theaters as much as possible now.
Became Mario, then
I became Mario.
I moved from
That's going to be me when Mario comes
Germany.
out. Mushroom Kingdom, here we come.
I moved from Germany to Virginia, and they broke my TV. So that day I went out, I bought a new TV, I bought a sound bar, and I bought a bass to go with it, just so I could have a home theater and not have to worry about going out. Also, I was angry.
And I get your point, but at the same time, for me, the home experience still, no matter how good your setup is not going to prevent distractions from popping in constantly. Listen, it's not going to prevent me from looking at my phone constantly. Me having that undivided attention in a theater is very, very important to the experience for me.
Priceless.
It depends on what movie it is. So there are two things. One, it depends on what movie it is, right? There are some things that I can split my attention, and it doesn't detract from my experience. That said, I think I don't remember if I talked to you guys about this on the show or not. I do remember Danny reacting to it, so maybe. When I went to see Black Phone, everybody was on their fucking phones. Like, everybody around me was on their phones, bleeping and blooping. I could hear everything from their phones. And so I would almost rather be at home doing that myself rather than going out to the theater and the potential getting into an ugly confrontation. I'm like, hey, do you mind shutting up? Hey, fuck you. Like, oh. So I hear what you're saying. I would rather be at home.
I'm spoiled because, not to be like, oh, Elmo Draft House, but Elmo Draft House is not really a problem usually. The biggest distraction are the waiters and waitresses going back and forth between, but it's not a huge.
Especially when they go too fast and they spill it all over somebody. That happens
live
like
in Colorado?
every other movie I go to.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I'm good.
What the hell? Colorado's amazing.
Movie theaters. Good.
Hey, fuck you.
That's how it starts.
Jones is part of the problem.
By the way, I wasn't going to poop. I grabbed a drink.
Oh, don't worry.
No one thought that. Nick.
Yeah, we know when you fart, that's when you're going to shit. Like there's a precedent.
We were playing D&D last weekend, and Nick kept farting, and we're like, "Stop it!" He's like, "I can't stop it. You can't stop it." It's like, yes, you can.
It's a bodily function. You'll explode.
Yeah, but you could go to the bathroom and let it out there, so it doesn't freaking stink.
I thought you were gonna say it was like your power. Like it's on my chart. It's on my D&D chart.
Like that one character from Mystery Men whose superpower was farting.
Yeah.
What kind of character?
It's time.
What kind of character perk would that be? Do we have another trailer? Do we have another thing?
No, we're done. We're done with trailers.
There was like a silly clip from something that I was like, oh, good. They gave us a clip from a movie I haven't heard of. That's entirely exposition.
Okay. The Broccoli's hate old people. So if you were interested in anyone like Tom Hardy, Idris Elba as James Bond, you're out of luck. So what I found funny about this, the Mirror Man, British people are fucking savage. They're like, hey, Barbara Broccoli said this, or one of the producers talked about who they wanted as James Bond. So where did it go? Michael G. Wilson, one of the producers. We've tried looking at younger people in the past, but trying to visualize it doesn't work. Remember, Bond's already a veteran. He's someone,
but they won't do a 20-year-old.
You gonna interrupt me during the quote?
Yeah.
All right. He's had some experience. He's a person who has been through the wars, so to speak. He's probably been an SAS or something. He isn't some kid out of high school that you can bring in and start off. That's why it works for a 30-something. And so people took that quote to mean that they were excising any of the older folks. So, like, again, Henry Cavill or Idris Elba. But the reason why I say that British people are savage is because within the article, they're like, Barbara Broccoli, 62. Like, why does it matter how old the producer is? I guess it's just an extra fuck you. Like,
It's like wannabe young person, 62.
Well, I get what they mean because isn't part of the quote also we need someone to play him for 10 years, which is basically what Craig.
I mean,
did.
they're trying to thread a needle where it's like they need someone who's aged enough to have had to be a veteran, to have world weary, to
young
have
enough
experience.
Not to break an ankle.
Let me. Can I finish, Nick? Can I finish?
Fuck you.
So, as part of this, there are some other younger people who are still part of the. It sucks that Danny's down here because we could throw these names around and he would be all excited for some of them, maybe. So, Bridgerton, we've got Reggie Sean Page. He's only 34. Got Richard Madden. He was in the Bodyguards. The Bodyguard was something Bodyguard. It was the Bodyguard movie.
He was also
in Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, yeah.
And we've also got Henry Cavill, and he's 39. So he's pushing the envelope.
I don't like that. I didn't realize he was so close to me in age. I thought he was way older. I thought he was in his 40s.
You sound like you sound like John Oliver. John Oliver was talking about him and John Cena are the same age. He's like, yeah, think about that.
Well, and I feel like in the past they've never ever cast the fan favorite. Like,
who was the fan favorite before?
Hugh Jackman was the fan favorite for. Everyone was like, Hugh Jackman should play him for a Daniel Craig era, and then they cast the guy, a blonde-haired guy that's only been in like two big movie, like one big movie in Layer Cake.
Well, like, you forgot about A Kid in King Arthur's Court. He was in A Kid in King Arthur's Court.
Didn't know. I just know him from Layer Cake and Munich is like his career before Bond. I'm sure there are other ones, Munich. But I love Munich too. And he's basically James Bond in that movie.
Nope, I was thinking of the wrong movie. Never mind. I don't love Munich.
I love Munich. It has one of the most tense Spielberg scenes, but we're off topic. It's not, like there's no way it would have ever been Henry Cavill. They never are like, oh, that's the fan favorite. So I was watching a clip from Toast of London because a lot of people are joking they want Matt Berry as a Bond, and there's a whole segment where he goes out to try out, and this is a joke where you don't see their faces because they can't afford it. Where he's waiting in line to be Bond, like for the audition, they call him up. He's like, "Well, good luck to you, Fassbender," and he just goes up the stairs because that's the kind of actor you would pick for Bond. Also, you look at like at least 10 years ago, you look at a Michael Fassbender and I feel like the quote is mostly a fuck you to Tom Holland.
Yeah, I think so too.
Remember Tom Holland wants to play Bond, and they're like, no.
Like, we need someone who actually looks.
Isn't he in his 30s?
No, he's in his 20s, mid-20s.
He was like 18 when he did No Way Home.
He's like 26-ish.
I mean, original,
if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but he still looks too young. You also have to get someone who looks old enough. He's like Leo didn't look like an adult until he hit like age 40. I feel like Tom Holland has that face too.
Yeah, 26, born in 96.
Okay. All right.
Youngin.
Older than I thought, honestly.
And I'm sorry, the other person I think who got knocked out by this is Hiddleston, Tom Hiddleston. He was another.
I like how you said that. Hiddleston, Tom Hiddleston. Did you mean this? I think you just were speaking and it came out that way.
Yeah, that's just the way I speak.
So who do you all want to play Bond? You remember, has to be 30s, a British actor in the 30s.
I still do like Henry Cavill.
Lashana Lynch.
The obvious one.
Oh no, but she couldn't play James Bond. She could play.
I'm still on that. I'm still on that shit. I think it's a weird.
Say 007 will return.
I don't care. You've got an entire cast and universe already set up, and it's weird to me. Just so like the same way that we're like, oh yeah, just continue on in Wakanda forever in the universe and see what's going on. Same fucking thing. Keep doing it.
And that's the other thing I was thinking of last time I discussed Bond with a big Bond fan who I often speak to on Twitter circles, which I didn't know was a speaking app, or Twitter Spaces or something. We talk every day. He lives close to a theater in Scotland that shows them all. Like every week they show one of them and then they restart and show them all again. And we basically both agreed that they have to recast everyone since that world was so that was the Daniel Craig era. It had a beginning, a weak middle, and an end. Like, and it was with these characters. You gotta recast Q and Moneypenny and M, because that was like his group. It's not like the old M's and the old Q's of old, but it'll be weird having them
fall in the middle.
That's true. Every other Bond film.
Yeah, every other
he had three good movies.
And 2 bad
3
ones.
out of 5.
It was really every other. It's like the rule of Star Treks until they started making good Star Trek movies with JJ. So that's just a line from Spaced. Like they talk about the rule of Star Trek, where it's like every other one is good.
That's not what that face is for. Is like with JJ, it was like because what were we talking about? Who is cast as what? We were talking about Black Panther, and they were saying, well, everybody doesn't know. It reminded me of JJ Abrams when he was like, oh yeah, that's not Khan. Sure the fuck is.
Well, JJ Abrams is,
Mr. Mystery Box.
Certifiable
what about, I don't know his age is plot.
So
what about Benedict Cumberbatch as Bond?
It's true.
You can't even say his name. He can't be Bond.
Benedict Cumbersnatch.
Benedict Bandersnatch.
We shall continue. I actually saw a tweet the other day, and they're like, no matter how much you fuck that name up, people will always know who you're talking about because they know the sound of the name. Like Benedict Cumberbatch, anyway.
So I have no idea who they're going to cast. I have no interest because I bet you, as Nick said, it's going to be someone I don't know, or maybe someone who fucking popped up on Doctor Who in a bit role 10 years ago, and all of a sudden we're like, oh, okay.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. All I care about is just make good movies.
Yeah.
Like them picking somebody that I want is secondary to how good is the movie. And love or hate Daniel Craig, there are people who are like, that's my James Bond. It's like, well, that doesn't make Quantum of Solace a better movie, so fuck off.
And you can have more than one.
I think that it's just very frustrating where people they just desperately want their person picked. That's not the thing that really matters. It's how good is the movie. So
too bad Simon Pegg is too old.
What is wrong with you? How dare you?
He's over 40.
Have you looked at him?
Wow.
He doesn't look like a James Bond.
Just because you've been running every day.
No, he doesn't look like a James Bond.
Keep getting my notifications. Jammer's finished a run today.
I would have never cast Simon Pegg as James Bond. It was a joke.
Oh, I thought you were being serious.
No.
Next thing you're like, hey, can we get Toby Jones to play James Bond, please? If only he was 20 years earlier, he would have been perfect.
Toby Jones actually would be an interesting choice.
Oh my god.
This episode is off the wires. What's next?
Let's talk about speaking of Henry Cavill. So we have been hurt before, and it looks like the rumor mill is set to hurt us again. I think we'll see. It'll be fascinating to see how this turns out. So prominent rumor person. I don't know, what would you call him?
Prominent
scooper.
That's what we'll call him. Scooper. So a prominent scooper whose name I have lost.
My Time to Shine. Hello on Twitter. My Time to
Shine. See, there you go. I
H.
wasn't going to remember that. Thanks, Kyle. See, perfect. So My Time to Shine is of the belief that Henry Cavill is coming back, and he's going to come back in the way that it is phrased, to me, it sounds like a post-credit scene. He's going to go to Black Adam and say, hey, Black Adam, we need to talk. It's about your parents. What happens to my parents? They turn into assholes. I don't know. But that's the way it sounds.
It's your kids.
It's your kids.
It's Superboy.
It's your kids, Blackie. Don't call him Blackie.
I'm glad you're the one who accidentally said that.
Oh, that wasn't an accident.
Yeah.
Marty, Blackie. It's definitely on purpose. So what the other interesting aspect of it was, he said it was going to have the John Williams score, which not a fan of that. Like, we've seen this before, right? We saw this in the Justice League, where Junkie XL and Danny Elfman. I'm sorry.
That was only
Danny
the bad
Elfman.
version.
Danny Elfman did the bad version.
Yeah. So Junkie XL was out for this part of it. Danny Elfman came in and replaced the Superman and Batman music with the old stuff. I didn't care for it. Don't give a fuck. I wasn't for it because those few seconds were were ones where you didn't get to hear the Hans Zimmer score. Say what you will about which one you like or dislike more. For me, that music fit Cavill well. And for them to take it out and replace it with the John Williams music kind of sucks, especially because that version of Superman and Clark Kent, that was Brandon Routh.
Yeah.
So the sequel to those movies, like if that was like what you really wanted, you already had it and nobody wanted it. So don't try and dig that up and reboot that in a new version of Superman. So I'm not for that aspect of it. The suit, I'm kind of indifferent, right? Suits, you literally take those on and off, whatever. But we've had conversations about music. Themes matter, right? And so like with the Avengers theme, that matters. And I think with Henry Cavill, it is not his fault and it is not the score's fault that people weren't fans of Zack Snyder's take. But I thought it was a superior version of the song that belongs with this actor. That's me. What do you guys think?
I was just gonna add that it's interesting that Marvel's kind of doing the opposite right now with like or this week on She-Hulk, they did the Daredevil theme from Netflix for a brief moment. Like they're embracing, even though this is a completely different variant, completely non-related, had none of the experiences from the Netflix shows, they still throw in the Daredevil theme that we know from like a decade ago. But otherwise, are we just we're talking about the appearance though more than the music.
And both.
Well, I mean, I can't remember a single note of music from any of the Snyder films. But like they don't have themes. It's kind of like even less in The Dark Knight. They don't have themes. It's like a bunch of loud noises.
No, they
I guess they're right. Batman's like dun 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 dun. That actually is the Batman theme.
Dun 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 dun.
I'm talking about Daniel. I'm talking about
Snyder. No, he's talking
not
about the
amazing
Snyder ones.
Yeah, I'm talking about the Snyder Batman. Not
Oh, gotcha. You're talking about
Batman has great themes. No.
But and so before you keep going, that is the same Daredevil. So it is appropriate to have the same music.
Well, yeah, but then they're doing the X-Men one, for example, which they've used it twice.
But it's two different characters. You're talking about the cartoon, or
yeah, the cartoon theme is also used in Miss Marvel, and they use it in Miss Marvel too. When they say the word mutant, it's like, and I joke.
I couldn't tell if you were referring to the '97 one.
Yeah, the '97 theme. But they don't just use it to reference him in the yellow chair. They use it on the Miss Marvel show. They go da-na-na-na-na. And I told Kyle, and he hates the idea that every time the word mutant is said,
is he in Miss Marvel?
Should be like, no, the theme is used for Miss Marvel.
I see.
They made her the first official mention of mutant.
Let me tell you what I didn't do. Make it to the end of Miss Marvel.
I know.
It's actually a really good ending.
The last episode's pretty.
I liked it. I
liked the last episode.
I didn't like the middle, but last episodes were good.
You know what part I have to get through? The middle.
The middle.
Yeah.
Saggy middle.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do it.
There'll be an interesting way to bring back Superman, like a tag.
But to your point,
I think the wrong way, but an interesting way. Like, do you think that you want to blast it? Like, hey, fans, we're giving you what you want. Now you can talk, Jammer, because I finished my thought.
You may not speak.
So Hans Zimmer or Superman for Zack Snyder does have a theme. He has a very prominent theme. It was all over the trailers and throughout the films, and it was throughout. It showed up in Batman v Superman as well. Just because you don't remember it doesn't mean it doesn't exist and wasn't iconic.
That's true. I don't remember it.
I will say this: that's the only one I remember. I don't remember Aquaman's theme. I remember Wonder Woman's theme, but it's a lot of just screaming. Right?
I remember hers.
Yeah.
It's not good, but I remember it.
Of all of those,
Kyle killed himself.
Of all of those themes, Superman had the best one, and I think that's part of the reason why this irritates me so much, because it was the best one. It was the most memorable.
I mean, but that exists in the movie. That does it exist for most people? The film Justice League,
and that's what I was saying. Man of Steel, but I don't think that it is. Again, not the theme's fault, not the actor's fault that people didn't latch onto that film.
I I also like the Justice League theme that they used in the 4-hour Justice League. There's that Snyder cut.
Like
Gary
that, I
Clark Jr.?
definitely don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
I said Gary
It's
Clark
the one
Jr.
that they used it. They used it
Come
in two
together.
key moments. They used it at the moment where Superman showed up. And he's like not impressed. And then they used it again and when Flash turned back time.
Show of hands, who remembers a single note of that theme except for Jammer?
I mean, yeah, I do.
I'm gonna have to.
Twice.
I've only seen it once. Hold on, I'm watching it now. Hold on. You guys talk about this.
Okay.
You know, I'll say this about music because to the point of remembering things. So I remember certain standout music more than good music that's just that. So I get this a lot watching anime and stuff. I'll say a soundtrack for a particular show was par for course. It was good, you know, and people will act like I'm missing something. So I know how individuals can get attached to things, but I always kind of compare it to Final Fantasy soundtracks. You have something that stands out. You hear something from 7 and people recognize it. It's super known. They got it. That you play something from 9, they'll go, that's a Final Fantasy song, but they might not be as easily able to place it. They're both great. They're done by the same composer even. It's just certain ones have that extra thing to them, and that thing might be more prominent to a bigger audience, but there's also those small audience that thing was the one it wasn't for most others. So
gotcha, that makes sense.
Okay, so I'm watching the scenes. I watched the Superman scene. I watched the Flash scene. The funny thing is, I barely remember them, but I smiled watching the scenes, listening to the music. It's good stuff.
Yeah,
it's, like, it's not quite as memorable, but still good.
Yeah, it's like the Avengers theme. Everyone's like, "Whoa!"
Well, I think
I
if
love
they
the Avengers
used it,
music.
if they use it in the trailers, like for the trailers building up to it, because I think I don't know who it was who pointed this out, because this was back when themes are coming back. They're becoming more important to movies. There was this whole 15-year period between 2005 to 2020 where it's just like themes, Shmeen. We don't need themes. We just need to make good movies.
Early Marvel movies for sure.
Yeah,
well, at least Iron Man movies, I don't think have a theme.
One part of it, they don't. One part of it was that they didn't use any themes in the trailers building up to it. So by the time you got it, like Indiana Jones, they had the theme songs in the trailers, and Star Wars, they have theme songs in the trailers. Freaking Man of Steel, they had the theme song in the trailers.
Mission Impossible.
Those ones, yeah, they have the theme song in the trailers. So it's like the ones that usually use the theme throughout the marketing and then also in the movie tend to be the ones that we remember because we've seen it a lot more than just watching the movie.
Because we've probably seen the trailer way more times than we've seen the movie.
Themes are designed to build a connection between you and that character in those moments. So going back to Star Wars, people widely acknowledge the fact that while some of those scenes, there are scenes in those movies that would have been relatively weak without the music. And so that is what connects a lot of people to that stuff. It's the earworm that stays in there. Just hearing a couple of notes of stuff will just take you back to a moment. And so I think it's important. And maybe Warner Brothers in their calculations is like, well, the moments in Man of Steel are not worth remembering. But
going to Jammer's point, the Batman even used the Batman theme.
Yeah, that too.
We got it before the movie. Yeah.
One thing also, I think, going back to the John Williams thing and this X-Men theme, one thing I don't like is intertextuality. When so it's like the X-Men theme, it goes da 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 da. Freaking meanwhile, the 10-year-old's like, what the fuck was that? And it's just like, I was like, oh, you have to remember decades ago there was this animated series that had a popular theme song, or the Daredevil thing. It's like, what am I supposed to know what that is? It's like, yeah, you're supposed to know what it is. It came in a Netflix show when you're too young to watch an R-rated thing that you didn't watch because it wasn't part of the MCU. You're now supposed to have gone and remembered that and have associated with that.
Well, I don't think he's going to know this.
But it's not for those people.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It's like an Easter egg. It doesn't take away from it. 10-year-old's not going to be like, that was a weird cue.
They might. Like, oh. I would be like, what the fuck was that little cue? Like, that came out of nowhere.
It's music.
I was a weird 10-year-old. Yeah. I was a weird 10-year-old. So there's that. No, but I don't like the fact that you have to have known something else outside of the thing in order to appreciate the thing. I very much appreciate it when it's more self-contained, like within the MCU or within this film franchise. Therefore, that's why I don't want the John Williams score, because it's outside of it and it's not within the context of this world that we've established. I know you all
about
disagree.
the John Williams. Well, I agree about the John Williams score. I wouldn't want to see it in that scene. Didn't like it in the Justice League cut, but I still like the Danny Elfman score for like the minute they used it, just because I like that score in the Justice League cut. Did not fit at all, but I was like, hey, cool.
No. And I agree with what Jammer's saying, but not his rationale. That's weird. You guys are,
what do you mean?
The intertextuality aspect of what you're saying. There are things that just aren't for everyone, even within a particular movie. If the cue works, then the cue works. And so there are people who are of a certain age that will hear that and like get very excited. And there are people that will hear it that aren't of that age, and just it will pass by and mean nothing.
Let me just say this. Fine. If you're of a certain age, chances are you're too old to play James Bond. That's all I'm saying.
That's fine.
One last thing. I just think I was gonna say there's no way Warner Brothers is that stupid to bring back the Man of Steel. I mean no, that immediately thought, yes, they are. They are stupid to use the John Williams.
Yeah, for everyone that can't see this podcast, I'm like glaring at Nick like, yeah,
I had this moment, I thought process. I was like a millisecond after I thought that, I'm like, oh wait, they are.
Wait a minute.
I mean, they're stupid enough to apparently bring back Ezra Miller for reshoots for The Flash.
Wait, I'm sorry. Before you move on,
damn it!
I'm sorry.
I didn't know that.
Do you think this is actually true?
The John Williams thing?
The Superman thing, period.
Yeah.
Because
I wouldn't be surprised.
We heard part of this in Shazam, and then also there was the Comic-Con like last year, a few months ago, where he was also supposed to be there. And so now again, there's this rumor.
I think there's a difference between supposing to be on stage at a convention versus being.
That was D23, not the Comic-Con. That was the Marvel thing. Where they're like, we're gonna walk out Henry Cavill.
No, he was supposed to be.
It was supposed to be Comic-Con at the DC Warner Brothers.
Sorry. Can you say it again, Saturday. Kyle, for the Knicks in the back?
Yeah, it was San Diego Comic-Con 2022 there, but
it's never happened.
Yeah, it just didn't happen.
No fandom, no Comic-Con. Your Earth just left unprotected.
July of this year. Yeah, that was disappointing. I was really upset by that.
Warner Brothers gonna Warner Brothers,
I guess. So I'm sorry. I trampled all over Jammer's perfect
smooth ass segue. Jammer, you want to go ahead and key that up again? I got the story for you guys.
Yeah, so there's some new developments regarding Ezra Miller, though not the kind that you are likely all fearing. He did not, try to summon the evil demon lord Vecna to take over the city of town of Hawkins or whatever. He didn't do some other random thing or make me more concerned about his current mental health issues. In fact, it looks like he returned for a day of pickup shots for the Flash movie, which is the same Flash movie that we're all like, are they still going to release it? I don't know. Like, can they not release it? I don't know. But this certainly sounds, based on this, that he had a meeting with the folks at Warner Brothers, that the meeting was positive and resulted in him going back into some post-production, or not post-production, pickups and all that. So my question for you all, let's start with Nick here. Do you think this is a good thing, and do you think they should be doing this?
I mean, it's already built into his contract. That's how reshoots are built, and time is built into everyone's contract. And if they want to make the movie better, why not?
But should they be actively engaging him when he's
at this point, they'll never cast him in anything else, including a Flash 2, I feel.
I didn't think he'd be back for reshoots. I thought they were done. They're like, no, you did your work. You fulfilled your contract. We're done.
The reshoot was put there to set up a scene where he gets replaced by another actor. Like we were like, what if he woke up after the Flashpoint and he's Grant Gustin, or just someone completely different? Like, what if his reshoot, without him knowing it, was him setting up his replacement?
There was a recent, actually, I think it was My Time to Shine actually commented on this. He said Keaton is still the new Batman for the DC at the end of the Flash. The only change they made was adding Cavill. And then I think he also mentioned that there were no rewrites to the Flash after principal photography. Photography completed and no big changes to the story originally scripted. Now, to be clear, this actually was, I can't speak to the veracity of this. This actually came from Film Flash News, which was retweeted by My Time to Shine. So I'm guessing that him retweeting it is a sign that he agrees with the news, and I don't know how trustworthy he overall is, but that's just something I'm throwing out there. So Jonesy, what are your thoughts?
Whether or not they should still be engaging with him, I don't believe in. I don't know what the reshoots were for, so I don't know. And if it turns out that it is a way to have him exit the franchise, yeah, sure. I think at some point we will find out what the reshoots are. Are they just standard run-of-the-mill reshoots? I still think that the studio deserves to release the film that they want to release, even though he is problematic. I would love it if, like Nick said, so the three-note musical cue is from Back to the Future, with the or whatever it goes. I would love that if like somebody wakes up. Yeah, I want that. Like somebody wakes up and then it's not Ezra Miller. It's someone else as him. Just him mucking
Hopefully
about
not
with
Greg
time.
Gustin.
Yeah, I mean whoever. I don't really care. As long as they don't rape and pillage across the United States and the non-contiguous United States. But I want that music cue. I want that scene. And then I want them to look in a mirror and have a different face and say, oh boy. And then just cut to black. Cut to black. Just like Quantum Leap. Just like, oh boy. Done.
Here we go again.
Yeah. I watched that first, by the way, just a brief segue. I watched that first episode of Quantum Leap. Not coming back for more. Not coming back for more. No,
everyone was talking about it on Twitter, and I'm like, why is this trending? And then days later, I saw a commercial for Quantum Leap. I'm like, oh, it's not because they rebooted it.
It's not good. But I'm sorry. Anyway, yeah, those are my thoughts. Until I know what the scenes are, I can't really say. The studio made a contract with him. Reshoots are normal. So yeah, I'm just hoping it is an exit to the franchise.
What if it's not? What if they decide that, hey, you've gotten to get the help you need? Maybe they have had some dealings with whoever they were dealing with, and they settled out of court, and things are supposedly amicable. Do you think they should bother bringing him back?
No.
No.
I mean, he's gotten. Will Smith has like harsher punishment than Ezra Miller so far. So fuck no.
Yeah, Warner Brothers Apple is sitting on a completed, what they thought was an Oscar contender, Oscar-worthy Will Smith movie. I think it's called Emancipation. They haven't released it because of
they released a trailer for it recently or something. I think they are releasing it now. Yeah,
I think they are.
Yeah. So, but they had just been sitting on it because of this. No research required. And they're like, well, I don't know.
It's like, I don't know, Will Smith, we saw him slap somebody. That's like, that's basically a felony. Like 3 strikes, you're out, Will Smith.
It's so scary for life. It was so frightening to see.
I was
to see someone get slapped. Terrified.
Terrified.
Do you know how much danger that puts us as podcasters in?
It could be us.
I would love if Will Smith came in the door behind me, just punched me in the face.
Get my name out your fucking mouth.
Get Ezra Miller's name out your fucking mouth. Oh, yeah. The memories. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. We'll see what happens. You guys ready to move on? Do we have any more stories to cover, or can we jump into this review that we haven't?
Jump into Hocus Pocus.
There's going to be a new Planet of the Apes movie. Ta-da! And it's not called Planet of the Apes. It has an overly long title. There's that news story.
Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and it's it continues off the timeline established by the previous trilogy.
Wonder if Reeves is involved. The end of story.
That's what we got. That's the news.
You could have just actually skipped it, Nick.
I know, but we got it done quick. It's going on longer than I need to now.
I don't think there's
ahead.
a point in bringing up a story if we're not going to delve into it. So moving on. Let's go
So
ahead
the
and
people
on.
know. But yeah, let's move on.
You're right, because we're their number one. They didn't hear anything about news until they heard about us, until they heard it from us.
That's
a
right.
week late. In many cases.
Hocus Pocus 2.
A week late.
Yes.
It is a Disney movie that did in fact come out. We were talking about it, as Jammer said, a week late. This is a film that stars Bette Midler and Sarah Jessica Parker and Kathy Najimy. I hope I said her name right. So
right.
we've got okay, yes, we've got the Sanderson sisters back from their 1993 classic film of the same name, just without a number 2 in it. I don't know. I feel like people need to know these things. And they've been brought back, similar style, Black Candle. I think we should do this the way that we did last week. Last week was a bad movie, but I think going forward, do you recommend the movie? And then we'll get into spoilers, right?
Yeah, I agree. Do you want to do the Hocus? Do you want to do the Rotten Tomatoes thing first?
Yes. So right now, this film sits at a surprising, it's like a 60-something%. I exited out of the screen.
I think it's 50-something% now.
Is it? Oh my God.
How
terrible. No, 62% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so 62% from the critics and a 54% from the audience.
Oh, that's more surprising.
Yes,
Really?
Shockingly, everyone is wrong. But let's find out why in a second. Jammer, would you recommend this film for folks?
Absolutely. Yep. I think it's a lot of fun. I think if you like cozy fall movies, I think if you enjoyed the first one, or if you have kids, definitely check it out.
Nick Dahl.
It's a harder question for me to answer because I haven't seen the first one. So
irrelevant.
No, I would not recommend someone who hasn't seen the first one.
That's not the question.
No, I would not recommend it.
There we go. All right. And I would recommend it regardless of whether or not you've seen the first one. All right. So we are about to talk about the film. This is your only spoiler warning that you're going to get. And let's do it. So it has been 29 years since someone lit the black flame candle and resurrected 17th century sisters, and they are looking for revenge. Now it's up to 3 high school students to stop the ravenous witches from wreaking havoc on Salem before dawn on All Hallows Eve. This film was directed by Anne Fletcher, and it was written by Jean D'Angelo. Just big thoughts for me out of the way at first. It's funny thinking about this film. It's not quite a reboot and it's not a requel. It's a direct sequel to the first one. And so this is kind of applicable, but kind of not. For some reason, I thought of Cruella as I watched this movie. And what I liked about it is that they didn't try to recontextualize the Sanderson sisters to make them not as bad as they were in the first one. It's like, no. They're still evil. They still want to kill everyone, which was the thing that I really struggled with Cruella. It felt like they were changing her character. And I liked that they leaned into who they were in this. And even at the end of this film, they were still able to make you feel something for them, even though they were still bad people. And I think ultimately that, again, comparing to Cruella again, I wish that had been the goal of this film, but I'm glad they were able to do it in this one. I thought this movie was, at least at parts, laugh out loud funny for me. And it wasn't necessarily because there were not just callbacks to the original that made me laugh. Like, they were just like the scene where he is trying to explain, he talked about a virgin lighting the candle, and some kid was like, "What's a virgin?"
Yeah.
And like, you see his mom looking at him, and he's like, someone that's never lit a candle. Like, I laughed out loud, and I don't know if that is a parent thing, because
I love the mom was just like, "Yeah, that's right.
Too.
Yeah, that's right. You better not say anything."
Yeah. So yeah, I really liked that stuff in this movie. But I'm gonna kick it over to you guys before I get more nitty gritty. Jammer, what did you think?
My biggest fear going into this one is that it would feel like a Disney Channel original movie, because I know for the longest time, we've had reboots where they there's a definite decrease in quality in terms of either the writing or the filmmaking. My mind goes to Girl Meets World compared to Boy Meets World. It was like they decided the first one was aimed towards preteens and a little older. Let's go ahead and aim it to like super, super low teens instead and just change the demographic and stuff. And I was worried about that kind of being what they're going to do for this one. But no, they got a film director for this one, Anna Fletcher, who's done lots of films, including The Proposal, starring Ryan Reynolds, among many other movies. And, they put in it doesn't look like a cheap movie. Like, no, it doesn't look amazing, but it looks like it's a well-made, competent film. And it manages to sort of capture the feel of the original without, while still looking sort of up to date and modern. So I think they did a really good job with that. I also going into this, I was thinking to myself, what do I want from this movie? Do I want it just to be a series of callbacks? Like, because if I go back to like Clerks and Kevin Smith, I criticize him constantly for callbacks. Like, you don't need that. For this one, I'm like, would I be disappointed if the Sanderson sisters did not sing a song? And I'm like, yeah, I would be disappointed if they didn't, which is really weird because I'm normally not that person. I'm like, let the movie be itself. But for this one, I'm like, just let it be that thing. And they did it in a way that not only has callbacks, but it kind of builds on the mythology in a way. Like, you build on the mythology surrounding Billy Butcherson. You build on the mythology of the Sanders sisters. You made me feel for a fucking book that I didn't even realize I thought I cared about its feelings in any way. I was very surprised at how they managed to make me care about these characters in a way that I just didn't in the first one.
Yeah.
So there was just there's surprising emotional depth, both in, emotion and mythology that I didn't need, but it worked. But also they did the callbacks, and they also did and they did callbacks that I thought were lazy, and they made them work. So the Roomba thing I thought was lazy, and I was like, that's stupid. But then when they came back and they started vacuuming up the salt, I was like, okay, bravo. That's
plan and payoff, baby.
Yeah, so good. So they did a lot of things right, and this is a movie that easily for me just is going to go into my yearly rotation at fall time. So I really like this movie.
All right, Nick Dahl.
This is one of those movies that when we pick it for the podcast, I'm like, yeah, I'll watch it. But oh God, like Jammer almost got his wish. I think we were talking about it. I'm like, I'll never watch this movie. I think one of the times we were hanging out in person. But I was entertained for the length of the film. And I really enjoyed. I think what was mostly funny about it was I was impressed that he wasn't only in it, but he had a pretty big role. Sam Richardson brought the funny. He's the guy who has the conversation that has to explain virginity with the candle. And then Tony Hale. I was a little disappointed. I thought he was only going to be in the first scene, and then he got to come back as a descendant, just like Marvel does. It's the same actor. I was like, sweet. I felt most of the comedy came from them for me because I know them very well. I mean, not personally, but I see them in a lot of stuff. And Sam Richardson is one of my favorite actors right now. And the rest of it was fine. I was actually I actually had two questions about the original, and Jam already answered one. I was like, were there musical numbers in that? And you've already answered that.
Yeah.
Did they not? Oh, there's one. Then did they? Automatic doors existed in 1993, so they didn't go anywhere with automatic doors. The first film, they made that feel like it was a 21st century thing.
They did not use any automatic doors.
Okay, because that was a funny joke, but I was like, but that was a thing in 93, which was the last time they were around. And
the closest one I'm trying to think with that one was when there's also the kitchen where she thought the kitchen was a torture chamber, which was funny.
Yeah.
And then also when Max lit made the sprinklers go off and said that it was like acid rain, and they're like, they thought they were melting and they weren't. That was good too.
So yeah, I would never watch it again or even show it to my kids that don't exist.
Wow.
It was a fine watch. It's a movie I never need to see again. It's not going to be a yearly rotation.
Okay, I'm going to ask my question, Nick. Why do you say I enjoyed this movie? I was entertained, but I would not recommend it.
Nor would I let my kids watch it.
Nor would I let my kids watch it.
It's just, I don't know. I have no connection to the original, which is, I feel like
watch it.
Part of what you're riding on is nostalgia. Not entirely, because it's a well-made film too, but it's just like it's not every movie I like I see more than once.
So I'll say this:
you're
I don't
remember. Recommend it though.
So here's what I'll say: I don't remember. I remember watching the first one a lot as a kid.
Yeah,
I do not remember it enough for the callbacks and this to mean anything to me. I enjoyed this movie in its own right.
But I feel
I
like
do remember the music from the first one, and it was fun, like getting to watch them. And it's fucking Bette Midler, right? Like watching her sing and perform is fun. And my daughter walked in when I was watching this movie. It's funny. I watched this movie without my kids.
I was
She
going to say
walked
that too.
in.
I'm surprised.
Well, the plan was to watch it with them, and when I came in, they started watching something else. They were watching like Criminal Minds, and they were watching something else like some brain game thing. And so I was like, all right, well, yeah. And I was like, well, I got to watch this for the podcast. I'm going to watch it now. So I started without them. But with about 45 minutes left in the movie, she comes in. She's like, what are you watching? And I was like, Hocus Pocus. She's like, oh, we've already seen that. I was like, no, it's the new one. She goes, oh, what's that? And so she's 6, right? And so I sit down and watch it with her, and she stays for the rest of the movie and watches and enjoys it and is laughing with me. And she is seeing the first one, but 6-year-old brain, like how much you really process.
Depends on how many times she watched it, though. Because if I at her age, I would have watched it a billion times. Really, once. Okay.
I mean, this just happened, right? So it was in preparation to watch the second one. So she and my wife watched the first one with my son, and I think that was last week. And so this week she watched the rest of the new one with me and enjoyed it. So
Nick, I want to dig more into the why, because you know me, I like to know why. Like, because obviously you said it's a well-made movie, you were entertained throughout, you enjoyed it, but you wouldn't recommend it. And I'm curious as to why that is.
I mean, it's still not my bag, baby. Like if I was this Nick talking to Nick a week ago, I would be like, it's not as bad as you think it is, but don't waste an hour and 45 minutes on it. You're watching a bunch of other better stuff.
why did you think it would be bad?
I don't know, because it looked terrible. Just because I have no connection to the original. So the trailer, I'm like, oh, cool. And most of these delayed sequels are terrible.
It's just really weird to me because like you seem like to think you have to have a pre-connection to something in order to like it. Like you said,
no, but
I like Tony Hale and Sam Richardson because I know who they are. But that's the only reason.
And those are like the main reasons I like the movie. I was surprised to see those two guys, and they got quite a bit of jokes in, like his obsession with the caramel apple. And so we got her all the way from New York. She was on GMA.
So Jonesy, let me just point to Nick as the type of person who does go to a movie to see Chris Pratt or does go to a movie to see an actor because they have that connection. And
they added to the movie, but if you guys told me they were in the cast, I still wouldn't have watched it just to see them. But they were some people I enjoyed seeing when they were there. I was like, oh, cool. I really like Sam Richardson. Same with Tomorrow War. I didn't know
you went to see Jurassic. You went to see Jurassic Park because it was Jurassic Park, not because of Chris Pratt.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
And I would have seen 3 even if they didn't bring back the original cast. Jurassic World 3.
But Nick, so I guess my question is, I get it. This is not your bag. Why is it not your bag? Besides, I'm not familiar with the original.
It's a children's movie that doesn't have like the Pixar gravitas or something to it.
What is the Pixar gravitas?
They are a reputation for making good films. I've heard a lot of people enjoy it as kids. I've never heard Hocus Pocus called a good film. Like it's a film.
I think it is.
Almost everyone in the 90s watched. Good film. It doesn't mean it's a good film.
Yeah, it's a good movie. It's the
first time I've heard that said.
I genuinely like. So I remember, like, I think the last time I probably saw it, I was a teenager. But I liked it. I like it as a movie. It's not one of those movies I go back to and like, I don't know if this holds up. Like, no, I think it's genuinely enjoyable.
Jammer and Nick, you guys have heard me talk about how much I love Little Monsters, right? With Howie Mandel.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen that.
Jammer has probably heard me talk about it quite a bit on Old LR Mornings and Daily Cog. But I love that movie. Hocus Pocus 1 is an actual better movie than Little Monsters, even though I personally will watch Little Monsters more because I love it more, but Hocus Pocus is actually a good movie and is better put together than Little Monsters. So yeah, it is pretty good. Nick, you should watch.
I really like Hocus Pocus too. Like how they did a good job of working with a lot of moving pieces. You had like surprising number of threads. You had like the Sanderson sisters, obviously. Then you had the main girls. Then you had Sam Richardson's character. They had like 3 or 4 little subplots going. And I thought they intertwined in like a really sort of fast and fun way that I was just, there's like, oh, there's a lot going on in this movie. I just wasn't expecting it.
I do wish there was. I mean, it's not necessary. This would have made it a stronger film if they had hinted whatsoever that one of them had witch powers.
They did.
They did.
Yeah.
They used to do the circles. They never referenced that she used to have witch powers, did they?
No, but they said you get your powers when you're 16.
Oh, so she was turning 16, so it's assumed
it was her birthday.
I guess that works. I mean, it's still.
Were you playing video games while you watch this movie?
Were you playing Star Trek?
No, actually.
How much Star Trek were you playing?
Not during the movie.
Oh.
So I have a complaint. I wish that they had. So it's actually a complaint that leads into a question.
My favorite kind.
The way that they ended this movie, it seemed like it was kind of perfectly set up for a sequel.
Is it? Oh, I was thinking the opposite. I was thinking it's over.
Well, here's why. I think that who showed up at the beginning of the movie? It was Hannah Waddington, right? She was the bird that flew down to them. Who was following the girls as they went down the street? The bird.
You're right.
And so I think that they could go one of two ways. This could either be a Descendants style TV show or a movie. And so that's kind of the way that I saw this with Hannah Waddington, who won't have a show relatively soon, kind of helping guide them up. I know. It's sad.
Where's she from? Sad.
Ted Lasso.
The fuck?
Oh.
Sorry.
I didn't recognize her from
Rebecca.
Ted Lasso. Wow.
Sorry.
Woo.
She was the
she
witch
was
at the
hot in
beginning.
this movie.
She's always hot
in Ted Lasso.
Yeah. What are you
Isn't she
talking
the
about?
old owner of the team in Ted Lasso?
Yeah. Have you seen those arms?
There's a big difference. Anyway, yeah, the implication to me was that it was funny because the whole movie I was wondering, is she going to show up again? Because
it was where she didn't.
It was. And so that at the end, when the bird is following them, it made me think like, oh, okay, that's a potential path that they could take going forward. So I guess my question, I know the answer from at least one of you, is that something that you would want to see going forward?
It'd be interesting. Like, you definitely are losing something by losing the Sanderson sisters.
Mm-hmm.
It's not quite Hocus Pocus anymore.
No.
But that's not to say there isn't interesting territory they could go. Like, you have effectively a new coven of sisters. And I don't know what that relationship is going to be, but you have laid the groundwork and it could be interesting. So I could see them going with a Disney Plus series, and I definitely would at least watch a handful of episodes.
I think it would be a series.
Yeah.
Like Mighty Ducks, I feel it would be a series, not a movie. But wait, why are they not doing another Ted Lasso or something?
It's done after season 3.
It's the last season.
Oh, it's written that way. It's not like it was canceled. Yep. They were like,
no, it wasn't.
We only need 3. We only need 3. Okay. That's why I was curious. I'm like, what? They canceled Ted Lasso? It's like their biggest, like, maybe, I don't know if it's probably their highest rated show. It's what they're most known for. Apple TV.
I think so. Yeah.
I mean, they made it into FIFA. Roy Kent's in FIFA or whatever his name is. So
yeah, it's a great advertisement for the new thing, the new season.
Both ways.
So I'll say this with Jammer. You were talking about you got choked up, you were crying during the Wakanda Forever trailer. I got choked up at the end of this. I loved that again. Bette Midler and crew were shown to be just bad people, even as being children.
That's not to say they don't have feelings,
but they cared about each other. And I think that is a thing that it's hard to do with villains, but it's worthwhile when you can pull it off and show that they actually care about something more than just revenge or just world domination. And the fact that she cared about her sisters meant the world to her, and it was fulfilling. And then at the end, when she's like, it doesn't bring them back, it sends you to them. And then just the way that the dust of her sisters entwined hers and then they vanished. It's like, oh my God, that is.
And she made it like, you could tell like a minute beforehand, she was ready to take on the world. But then it's just like, no, they're gone. Nope. I'm ready to go. Like, this is it.
As Long would have said, you have to read the warnings before you do the spell.
Yeah. My daughter was like, who doesn't read the fine print? I was like, good job.
You raised a lawyer's daughter, or she's a lawyer's daughter for sure.
Definitely. I thought that was hilarious. The other thing was also funny.
I was going to say one random hilarious thing, but you go ahead.
Well, my random thing was I did not realize, and part of it is because I didn't know who he was at the time. I didn't know that was Doug Jones in the original.
Yeah. Yep.
I did not know that. Yeah.
As the zombie, right?
That's right, Nick. It's another guy you know.
Perfect. But I
Is that
should
really the
assume
score?
any role like that is Doug Jones these days, or even back then.
he was in the
Doug Jones.
original.
And you need
Yeah,
a
this
lanky
This was
motherfucker. You
93.
put him in it.
This was 93.
I mean, here's what messed me up when I realized that he's 62 years old. Doug
He's
Jones is
wearing makeup.
old. Yeah. All of that kind of blew my mind.
He doesn't
But
even
yeah.
look that old. Like when you see him
No.
as human Saru or whatever. Saru, I
That
forgot what his
makeup keeps
character's
you young,
name in.
Saru.
Yeah. Yeah, when you see human him or him on the red carpet, he doesn't look 60. But
No, he doesn't. So yeah, like I said, I enjoy this film. Irrespective of whether or not you have seen the original, I would highly recommend this. It's fun. I think it's fun to watch it with your family. Easy recommend for that.
Yeah,
So,
I would
easy.
say another fun part I really liked was the fear Sam Richardson had towards him as a zombie at first, and then them kind of getting to know
they're
each
best
other
buds.
to like the handshake. Yeah, then they're best buds, even though he's using him and just clearing his name. Where he's like, "No, you need to tell everyone the truth." Like, I wasn't in love with both of them.
yeah.
Billy butchers him.
What's funny to me is even watching this as a kid, I watched The Three Stooges. And Jammer, I get the impression you might have watched the original more recently than me.
Oh yeah, I watch it every Halloween.
Were they more Three Stooge like in this one than they were in the original?
They were pretty Three Stooge in the first one.
Okay, because I know as a child I watched the Three Stooges all the time, but I never made the connection to that and this. But then when I watched it today, I was like, oh, yeah, that's totally what this is.
It's pretty broad comedy. Like the part where Sarah Jessica Parker, she's like, spread out, and she just goes like, starts spreading out physically was really funny. First of all, I was like, how does that work so well? Like it works so well.
But what's funny was I got the impression she was joking. Because the next line was "Be serious." She was like, "Be serious, be serious."
Oh, that's funny.
And then like the next, and it just in that moment they like were hitting you with a bunch of stuff. So that happened, and then when she said and the reason I know it was "be serious" was Siri woke up, and they were like, "Oh, there's a woman trapped in that box," and they got freaked out by that. And so I don't know. I enjoyed this. I thought it was funny.
There's a lot of good moments in this movie, but yeah, I think that the dynamic, the physical comedy, and like the goofiness was definitely in the first one. Was so funny.
Better than I expected.
I'm laughing. I'm going back and I'm laughing at the scene. It's like, be serious, be serious.
I'm trying to think here. Is there anything else? The main characters I thought were good too. I also like the fact that there was. If you go back to the original, there is not a single brown person in that entire city. Whereas now it's just like it's very diverse, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think you would call that aggressively white. Like it's just like there are no people of color that live in Salem, and it's like, yeah, people moving in. Also, yeah. Anyway, anything else to say about this film?
No, I really like discussing it more. It makes me like it a lot more. Now I'm excited to go back and rewatch it because I'm definitely going to watch it at least once more before Halloween's up.
I was a little disappointed. I don't think anyone said the word Hocus Pocus.
I think they did.
Yeah, I'm just joking. I don't remember if they did or not. That was a fake complaint.
They did that in the first one.
They did for
like, what? Cool. It's just a bunch of Hocus Pocus.
Oh,
I would have been better. Actually, I think there was a moment
too.
where they did say it. I think they did say it because I remember I turned to my wife. I'm like, I disappointed they didn't say it's just a bunch of Hocus Pocus 2.
That's the thing.
That would be better.
I thought it was weird how they leaned into like dead baby jokes in the Walgreens. They were like, what does the child taste like? And they're like, tastes like raspberries. Like they're like eating children and joking about it. I don't know. That should have been as funny.
They eat kids. I mean, they kill Emily in the first one.
They do.
Emily.
Spoiler alert.
At the beginning of the first one.
Literally the opening scene, Nick.
Literally the opening scene.
I know.
I don't know why I think that's funny.
Of an old movie.
I also love the fact when they started during the dancing scene where they're just like dance marching and like Kathy Najimy's character is like, they're going so slow. Why are they going so slow? I was thinking that too. I was just like, they're not being efficient at all in how they're moving.
And then ultimately it didn't matter, right? So they found him, and then
they went to the wrong
got his
place.
daughter.
Yeah.
Well, they'd already got the daughter because he'd left, he'd gone home, or he'd gone back to get the apple. So by the time
I don't care about the
zombies
dynamic. Either
caught
way,
him.
it works logically.
I just
it
thought,
worked.
no, I'm
Yeah,
just saying
yeah.
it was funny.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it didn't matter, which made it even funnier.
Well, they followed the boyfriend.
Yeah.
The stupid boyfriend.
The
who
village
didn't
idiot.
making fun of people.
I thought that was kind of funny too.
That's
She's like,
hilarious.
that's making fun of people. Yeah, it was a decent time.
But you wouldn't recommend it.
Wasn't angry. I watched it.
She pats him on the arm like, you poor idiot.
I thought I'd be on the show ripping in a new one. But I'm like, fine.
That's so weird. I don't know why you would assume it would be that bad. And this is
it just reminded me of like a 90s. I don't know, all those 90s like Halloween type movies. I look back on them and I'm like, I enjoyed it as a kid, but I would hate that movie.
But how many of them? And so this is,
and this is one
maybe
I've
I'm putting
seen,
too much.
So
maybe I'm
I'll
putting too
compare
much
to
stock in
those.
it. Again, Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker. Like, I wouldn't necessarily expect like a flaming bag of shit from them, which is what it sounds like you were expecting.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Also, Disney hasn't had a good live action run recently, so
that's true.
Which was probably part of it subconsciously.
We're worried about the Artemis Fowl protocol being enacted.
I didn't think it'd be that bad. I did not think it'd be that bad.
Yeah. Anyway, done. Are we done?
Yeah.
You done with that? All right. Cut the check. You guys want to hear what you guys want to hear what I thought of? I'll tell you what I thought of Werewolf by Night. I think it's fun. I think it is exactly what the trailers say it is, and it's slightly more enjoyable than I was expecting it to be. I'm also curious, after watching it, this is violent, like surprisingly violent, and it made me wonder what Blade is going to look like. Not the Blade that we're rumored to get, like an actual good Blade. It made me feel better that where they talked about lackluster action scenes.
We discussed it last week.
Gotcha. The one that with this. Okay,
it's
gotcha.
rumored to have troubles. Yeah,
right. I'm hoping it makes me wonder if they go back and take the time, they can actually make a decent film. I was kind of worried. I was wondering and worried about what that level of violence would look like in a Marvel film. Because again, Blade, like your bar is up here, and for the people not watching, it's at the top of my head. Yeah, showers of blood. And so in this, you get a decent level of violence that's fun, and it looks good. And it also made me wonder whether or not Michael Giacchino would be a good replacement for the guy that jumped ship.
Interesting.
That's high praise.
Because there's already, and what made me think that was, I think I probably would have thought it already, but there is a Blade-like character in this. As you're watching, you're like, oh, that's Blade. That's like, the bottom shelf Walmart version of Blade. So, the fruit O's. The
homeless cereal that lives in the bags instead of the boxes.
The bags, the bag cereal.
Yeah, that was him. That was totally him. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I think you guys should check it out and talk about it next week.
I remember thinking it was interesting, but also thinking like this could be something that appeals to me in theory, but then when I actually watch it, it's kind of like, ooh, I don't know. But everything you said sounds like it's pretty good. I am interested to hear because Manny over at Daily Cup of Genre talked about how maybe those artificial scratches and whatnot weren't necessary. I could see that being the case. And I mentioned that I feel like kind of the same thing with like a Planet Terror, Rodriguez's Grindhouse movie, where it's just like it didn't need it. They could have had like a little more natural looking sort of scratches, which I think Tarantino did in his what the fuck was it called? Death Proof. Yeah, where it felt a little more natural because it was on film. I think they were able to make it work a bit better. Though that movie was worse. It was awful. I hate Death Proof, but that's beside the point.
Cool.
And they also have cigarette burns in here as well, which is weird. Very distracting.
They have a very what was it? The projectionist is just very disgruntled, and he was just like, "Fuck this film's gonna stab a little."
I mean, I figure as a projectionist, you can't be disgruntled until you're putting like a dick in a scene, a la Fight Club. That's
That's
disgruntled.
where I also think of cigarette burns. I learned that from Fight Club. So
Yeah.
I used to always
Nice.
notice it until I switched to digital.
Nice
Yeah,
big
let's,
cock.
I always
Crying
remember
child.
like back when they used to project movies in film, the most annoying thing I hated is the jagged edges all over the corner in the movie. I hated it. And I forgot all about those. And I forgot how spoiled we've been, which we have nice clean edges in our movies now when we go to see the theaters. Until I saw Hateful Eight a few years ago, I'm like, oh, I forgot about the jagged edges. This is awful. Why would we do this to ourselves? Don't project in film. What's wrong with you?
Just wait until all
That's
of you are so used to high frame rate TV consumption
I
that
know.
theater will actually start looking rough to
Yeah.
you. It does to
Yeah.
me. I hate it.
No, I'm right there with you. Like part of me, I'm really sad that we never got into at least 48 frames per second film, just for the novelty and the transformation, the constant evolution of the medium. But we'll see. Maybe in another decade or two that'll pick up. Maybe not. Who knows?
Who knows? We'll see. Check back here in a decade, Breaking Geek Radio, the podcast, and we'll let you know what we think.
We'll
Gee,
be
other than
Breaking
that-
Geek Radio, the next generation. Be all of our kids.
New
What about the
Horizons.
lower?
Lucas
I'd rather see
producing.
lower decks.
Lower
I'd rather
decks.
see the lower decks.
It'll just be Kyle complaining the whole time. Damn it. These people
it'll be-
are changing up the fucking schedule every 5 seconds.
Nice.
Nice.
Anything else? Ready to shut down?
Let's do it.
All right, that's it. All right, that's it. So, dear listener, if you like what you heard, and of course, why wouldn't you do all the socials, like, rate, comment, subscribe, share? We would definitely appreciate it. Also, LRM Online, the Genreverse Podcast Network, have other great stuff for your reading and listening pleasure. Where else on the interwebs? Also, jump into Discord. Listen what you thought of Hocus Pocus. Did you hate it as much as Nick Dahl, or did you love it as much as Shammer and I? Or are you as indifferent as Danny? Because he didn't give an opinion. That's why.
So
he's
we're
indifferent.
assuming he's indifferent.
We're assuming he's indifferent.
We're assuming, yeah, yes. So yeah, let us know. Jump on Discord. Other than that, Jeremy, where can you be found?
You can find me on Twitter at Jam the Writer. You can find most of my books on Amazon under the name AJ Cerna on Amazon and Audible. And you can find my new book, City of Mages, at magiabooks.com. That's MAGIA books.com. You can find it both in audiobook format and ebook, one paperback and hardcover. So 4 formats.
All the formats,
All the formats. That's right.
baby.
What about 48 frames per second? Can I get that?
That's
When he
making
shoots
that. And if when it gets adapted, that's in the contract that it has to be 48 frames per second at least.
All right, Nolan. And Nicholas Dahlius, where can you be found?
At Geeky Nick Dahl on Twitter, and always doing Marvel Multiverse Mayhem with Kyle on Thursdays these days. But who knows and who knows? Marvel's gonna switch days again. I'm sure of it.
Oh,
for
you're saying
whatever
for in the future. God.
Yeah. It's just we don't know what Marvel does each time. It used to be Mondays, but
It could be a different day.
Too bad Kevin Feige was going, I really want to make it different each series, but there's this podcast called Marvel Multiverse Mondays. I really think we should cater exclusively to them. What do you think?
that's when he started slipping. That was his first bad decision.
It's like, it's no
Nice.
coincidence that the quality dropped right after WandaVision.
Right after.
Listen, let me tell you, the Breaking Geek Radio, the podcast crew, and the Marvel Multiverse Monday crew, it's so iconic that we decided we are not going to reschedule any of our programs. Period. Just not going to. It's a terrible joke. Anyway. Thanks to Kyle's producing on the ones and twos. And folks, as always, thanks for listening. We will catch you on the next one. Hasta lasagna.
Don't get any on you.
Mission accomplished.